Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever felt like traditional weight loss advice is completely failing you, you're definitely not alone, and we are going to dive into exactly why that is. Today, we're exploring a totally fascinating biology-backed alternative that could fundamentally change how you start your mornings. For decades, we've been handed this very rigid, specific set of rules for health and fitness. But today, we're going to completely deconstruct those rules using some really incredible insights from everyday Japanese living mixed with cutting-edge neuroscience. So let's start with a crucial question that frustrates literally millions of people. Why does the standard eat less, move more equation leave so many hardworking folks struggling with stubborn belly fat? I mean, it's the absolute foundation of nearly every diet plan, every fitness app, and basically every gym membership pitch out there. And yet, for a huge number of people, belly fat is treated strictly like a math problem, a problem that frankly just doesn't add up. We're told over and over that if we just control the calories and increase the movement, the fat's going to disappear. But what if this equation leaves out an entirely hidden variable? All right, let's jump right into section 1, the morning mystery. Okay, let's dive into this mystery by looking at two drastically different ways to kick off the day. First, picture a 61-year-old woman living in Kyoto. Her waist measurement actually hasn't changed in over a decade. She doesn't diet, she isn't lifting heavy dumbbells. Her morning is just warm water, a really slow walk to a local shrine, absolutely no coffee for hours, and complete phone silence. Now, on the flip side, imagine the frustrated modern dieter. You probably know the type, waking up, rushing, skipping breakfast, and diving straight into a punishing morning workout. They eat super clean, track every single calorie, do exactly what the fitness industry says to do, and yet they still carry stubborn weight around their middle. What's super fascinating here is how we track progress. The Kyoto woman's success isn't defined by some fluctuating number on a bathroom scale. It's about how calm her nervous system feels and the fact that her waistline has naturally stayed stable. Actually, tracking your waist measurement and your daily stress levels are far better metrics for real progress than just staring down at a scale. Which brings us to section 2, the cortisol culprit. The real difference between these two people isn't a lack of willpower. It's not a math problem, it's a massive biological mismatch that involves a very specific stress hormone. Here is the crucial takeaway. Within roughly 30 minutes of waking up, your body's cortisol levels naturally spike by roughly 50%. Now, don't get me wrong, cortisol is not some inherent villain. It's actually the exact hormone that wakes you up, gets you out of bed, and gives you the alertness you need to tackle your day. It's a completely normal, absolutely necessary part of human biology. So the spike itself isn't the issue at all. The biological mechanism at play here is called the cortisol awakening response, or CAR for short. And like I said, it is perfectly normal, unless our modern high-stress habits push it way too high, way too fast. When that happens, it shifts the body into this highly protective, fat-storing state. Think of it kind of like a delicate dial on a stereo. When we suddenly blast it with intense stressors, the exact moment this dial is already turning up naturally, well, we overload the system. We essentially break the dial. And when this morning stress is sustained day after day, your body actually stores fats specifically around your organs. It acts as a form of biological insulation. Multiple studies, including some really eye-opening research published in the journal Obesity, have established a direct biological link between elevated morning cortisol and increased deep abdominal fat. Your body isn't just storing fat evenly across your arms or thighs, it's wrapping it right around your midsection to protect your vital organs from what it perceives as a constant, sustained threat. This explains perfectly why you can cut sugar, train incredibly hard, and still not lose that weight around your waist. You are citing a hormonal pattern with tools that were literally never designed to touch it. Moving right along to section 3, hydrate and illuminate. Let's look at the Japanese approach to see how it builds a completely different hormonal environment, literally starting the exact second you wake up. Now, the first thing most of us do after sleeping for 7 or 8 hours is stumble into the kitchen and reach straight for the caffeine. But you're waking up in a state of severe dehydration. As Stanford neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman points out, hitting an already dehydrated, cortisol-rising body with caffeine is close to pouring fuel on a fire that's already lit. You're demanding immediate stimulation when your body is practically begging for basic hydration. Instead, consider the first Japanese habit. It's so simple, drinking warm water, often with just a pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon. But the effect on the body is profound. The warmth gently brings your digestion online. The salt replaces the minerals you lost overnight, giving you magnesium, which actually directly helps regulate that cortisol, and the lemon provides vitamin C, which research shows can physically blunt cortisol spikes. So ultimately, this tiny 2-minute habit sends a powerful, clear signal to your nervous system saying, hey, we're safe. There's no emergency here. Habit number 2 is getting 5 to 10 minutes of actual outside light within your first hour awake. This sets off an incredible chain reaction that ultimately calms your cortisol curve for the very next morning. It's fascinating. Here is exactly how this circadian science works. When natural light hits your eyes, it acts as the primary signal to set your internal 24-hour clock. That light triggers serotonin production during the middle of the day. Then, that serotonin actually turns into melatonin at night, which is what gives you deep, restful sleep. And deeper sleep, that results in a perfectly managed, much calmer cortisol curve the next morning. It's this invisible yet incredibly powerful domino effect. Next up is section 4, the power of the pause. Now we reach habit 3, which involves this really cool Japanese concept of ma, or the intentional gap. And honestly, this might fundamentally change your entire relationship with caffeine. The moment you wake up, your brain is totally saturated with a sleepy chemical called adenosine. It naturally takes your body about 90 minutes to clear it all out. If you chug coffee before those 90 minutes are up, you block those adenosine receptors while they're still full. And here's the catch. The adenosine doesn't just disappear, it just hangs out waiting in the background. So when the caffeine inevitably wears off around 2 p.m., all that backlog sleep chemical crashes into you like a tidal wave. Your body reads that sudden crash as a major stress event, triggering a massive cortisol spike and some really intense sugar cravings. But by simply embracing ma and waiting 90 minutes before your first cup of coffee, you let your body clear those sleep chemicals naturally. That gives you clean, steady energy without the awful afternoon stress spike. Okay, let's roll into section 5, motion and stillness. For our 4th and 5th habits, we kind of have to completely unlearn everything the intense modern fitness and hustle culture has drilled into our heads. Look, intense exercise is fantastic for your general fitness, absolutely, but the timing is so critical. Layering a punishing, high-intensity workout directly on top of your natural morning cortisol awakening response, that is a recipe for a hormonal disaster. A study in the Journal of Endocrinological Investigation actually proved that doing this keeps your stress hormones chronically elevated for hours and hours afterward. Sure, you might feel a great rush of endorphins in the moment, but underneath the surface, your hormones are quietly paying the price, shifting your body right back into that protective, fat-storing state we talked about. The Japanese alternative to that brutal morning boot camp is called Sampo, which is just an easy, unhurried walk, and it's not about burning a bunch of calories. Stanford researchers identified this really interesting phenomenon called optic flow. Basically, it's the visual experience of your surroundings sliding past you as you physically move forward. This specific pattern of visual motion actually physically turns down the volume on your amygdala, the brain's ringing smoke alarm. Walking outside rather than staring at a blank wall on a treadmill measurably calms your threat detection center and keeps that morning cortisol right where it belongs. And that brings us to our 5th habit, seijaku, or stillness. This one requires 0 screen time for the very first 30 minutes of your day. The exact instant you look at your phone, your brain gets flooded with notifications, emails, and headlines. And every single one of those triggers a tiny spike of dopamine paired with a tiny spike of cortisol, jolting your nervous system straight into reactive mode. Dr. Anna Lembke, the author of Dopamine Nation, points out that doing this raises your baseline stress for the entire rest of the day. Checking your phone at 6 a.m. is literally like opening 50 browser tabs before your brain's operating system has even finished booting up. It practically guarantees a stressed out, overloaded system. Let's pull this all together in section 6, your morning checklist. Okay, let's bring all of this together into a highly actionable, chronologically ordered routine that you can literally start using tomorrow to finally get those hormones balanced. Here is your complete morning checklist. And remember, the order matters just as much as the habits themselves. Step 1. Hydrate first with warm water. Step 2, get outside for natural light within your first half hour. Step 3, observe the pause and wait 90 minutes before having caffeine. Step 4, take an easy, forward-moving walk to generate that calming optic flow. And step 5, absolutely protect your first 30 minutes from your phone to ensure some stillness. And hey, when you start doing this tomorrow, remember to redefine how you track your progress. Step off the scale, start paying attention to how calm your nervous system actually feels throughout the day, and track your waist measurement over time. That is going to be your true indicator of hormonal health. Remember, that stubborn abdominal weight was never about you lacking willpower. It was always about your hormones reacting to your daily habits. You've been trying to solve a hormonal puzzle using basic math, and it's time to change the equation. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly powerful thought. What if the real secret to your health isn't doing more,
but simply pausing. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer today. I highly encourage you to pick just one of these habits to try out tomorrow morning and just see how your body responds. I'll catch you in the next one.